The Galactic Council had long believed that humans were amusing at best, irrelevant at worst. When humanity was first discovered in the backwater spiral of the Orion Arm, they were described in the official council registers as biologically resilient, socially volatile, technologically primitive. In other words, tough enough to survive but not clever enough to matter. For decades, humans had been allowed into the periphery of galactic affairs. Traders, mercenaries, explorers. Their curiosity made them likable. Their humor baffled most species, and their stubbornness irritated nearly everyone. Still, they posed no serious threat. Until the day of the Markov trials. The trials were not wars, but competitions. Galactic-scale contests held every 50 years to measure the martial and scientific prowess of civilizations. Empires rose or fell depending on their performance. Victors gained influence, resources, even whole planetary systems. Losers. They were quietly pushed into irrelevance, sometimes extinction. This year humanity had entered for the first time. And nobody, absolutely nobody, took them seriously. The beginning, laughter in the arena. The first event was the trial of precision, a test of ranged weaponry. The arena was a colossal void ring orbiting the gas giant of Rintal, designed with floating platforms, artificial asteroids, and a shifting array of targets. The competitors included the Vadril marksman, who could lance a needle through a coin from 2 kilometers away. The TZ-Car swarm, whose living bio-cannons spat plasma bolts guided by pheromone streams. Even the Car Dominion fielded warriors who had trained for centuries to achieve the one-shot kill. And then there were the humans. Their delegation was laughably small, just 12 soldiers in patchwork exosuits, carrying what looked like crude kinetic rifles. The council announcer, a crystalline Lurati, introduced them with an audible chime of pity, representing the young and reckless species of soul, humanity. The crowd, billions watching across the galaxy, erupted in laughter. The Vadril hit every target on their first attempt, their beams clean and elegant. The Car archers skewered moving drones with perfect arcs. The TZ-Car rained down sizzling plasma until their sector of the arena glowed molten. Then it was the humans' turn. Their shots were bad. Painfully bad. They fired wildly, missing targets by wide margins. Some rounds didn't even seem aimed at the targets at all, instead striking far-off asteroids, empty void, or in one embarrassing case, ricocheting back toward their own platform. The audience howled. Alien commentators ridiculed them across the feeds. Primitive kinetics. They still throw metal like cave beasts. Are they drunk? Even their younglings would do better. Perhaps their eyes cannot perceive depth properly. When the round ended, humanity stood dead last. But the humans didn't look ashamed. They looked satisfied. The middle, whispers in the dark. Other contests followed. Humans consistently performed below expectation, or appeared to. In the trial of endurance, they dropped out halfway, feigning exhaustion. In the trial of strategy, their fleet maneuvers looked clumsy, bordering on suicidal. They lost mock battles, stumbled in duels, even let food rations spoil during the survival tests. The council grew amused. Humans, they decided, are entertaining but hopeless. Only a handful of keen-eyed observers noticed something strange. Admiral Koroth of the Vadril caught it first. Reviewing footage of the shooting trials, he slowed down the recordings. While most humans missed, their shots weren't random, they formed patterns. Some missed left, some right, some high, some low. But across all 12 shooters, the misses spread evenly, weaving geometric lines across the battlefield. Almost like mapping. Later, in the fleet exercises, human ships had veered accidentally, into gravitational eddies. Korath at first chalked it up to incompetence, but the paths matched predicted distortions in the arena's artificial gravity wells. The humans weren't failing, they were measuring. And during the survival trial, when they let food rot, the rotting samples were sealed in biocontainers, as if they wanted to observe which alien scavengers would be drawn to the stench. Korath brought his suspicions to the council. He was mocked for his paranoia. "You see patterns because you expect them," the car sneered. "Humans simply are fools." But Korath couldn't shake the unease. The twist, the hidden target. The final trial was the trial of conquest. Each civilization was given a simulated war. The council provided fleets, armies, and virtual planets. The task was simple: achieve total dominance. Victory required annihilating every enemy unit or seizing the central target, a massive command citadel floating in the arena's core. The Vadril and Kar leapt into the fray, their fleets clashing in brilliant flashes. The TZ Kar flooded the field with living swarms. Alliances formed, betrayed, reformed. The spectacle was dazzling, a storm of weapons and strategy. Humanity. Their fleet hung back. Their ships drifted silently at the edge of the arena. Commentators jeered. Perhaps they've surrendered already. Do they even know the rules? They should never have been admitted. Minutes turned into hours. Human ships only moved to dodge stray fire, never striking back. Other empires began ignoring them entirely, focusing on real threats. That was when it happened. Without warning, the human fleet unleashed a single, synchronized volley. Not at enemy ships. Not at the citadel. At the arena itself. 12 human warships fired kinetic slugs at exact coordinates they had been missing all along during the first trial. Those misses, those failures, had been mapping structural weak points in the colossal ring. Their rifles had been gathering data for months, measuring density, resonance, stress points. The slugs struck simultaneously. A chain reaction tore through the arena's infrastructure. Energy conduits ruptured, shields collapsed, gravity wells inverted. Alien fleets, mid-battle, were suddenly crushed against debris or flung helplessly into the void. The citadel cracked open like an egg. The entire simulation collapsed in chaos. Billions watching screamed in shock. Judges scrambled to halt the destruction, but it was too late. The humans had ended the trial, not by playing the game but by breaking the board. The ending, humanity's answer. The council convened an emergency assembly. "What is the meaning of this sabotage?" roared the Kar Dominion. "They've disgraced the sacred trials," shrieked the TZ Kar. This was not strategy, it was madness. The human representative, a broad-shouldered woman named Commander Elena Varga, stepped forward. She wore no ceremonial garb, no glowing armor, only a worn military jacket. Her voice cut through the uproar. "You mocked our aim because you thought we were missing the target. But humanity has never been about the target. We aim for what lies behind it." The chamber fell silent. Varga continued. "You build contests to measure precision, endurance, tradition. But real war is not about points or prizes. Real war is survival. It's making sure the enemy can't ever rise again. You worshipped accuracy, we perfected adaptability. You prized honor, we perfected misdirection. You trained for battles. We trained for extinction." Gasps echoed through the chamber. "While you laughed, we measured. While you mocked, we mapped. And when the time came, we didn't shoot at the target. We shot at the weakness beneath your feet." She gestured to the wreckage of the arena, still drifting in orbit. "That is humanity's lesson. Never mistake restraint for weakness. Never mistake failure for incompetence. And never, ever assume you know what we're aiming at. For a long, terrible moment no one spoke. Admiral Karath was the first to bow his head. "I warned you," he murmured to the council. The council had no choice but to acknowledge the result. By the rules of the trial, humanity had achieved total conquest, not by conventional victory, but by annihilating the battlefield itself. They had not just won. They had rewritten the meaning of victory.